want to start off with, there was an article this week about troubleshooting your home search. And I think it's a great article to prompt a discussion about the market that we're in right now and some of the challenges that buyers are having and how to overcome some of those obstacles in order to get to a point where you can buy a home. And it was a great article from Zillow, and I think the first step of it, and David, you can talk a lot about this too, but a buyer, a lot of buyers will have a set neighborhood or an area that they want to buy within. And, sometimes, actually I won't say sometimes, a lot of the time, buyers have an unreasonable expectation about what they can get, what they can afford, what the prices are in a given neighborhood. They've seen one home at a low price in that neighborhood, so they think that another one will come along. And what they don't know is the home that was that low of a price was in really bad shape. But the first one is, the neighborhood, and maybe rethinking the neighborhood. So if you're struggling to find something in the neighborhood that you want, expanding your horizons a little bit can be a good way to open it up and maybe find a property that fits for you, that gets you within your budget, but maybe isn't exactly in the neighborhood that you want.
Yeah, look, I mean, whenever I'm first talking to a client, I think anybody who's in mortgages should ask this question. Two main questions. What do you look, what price range are you looking for, and what are you going to be comfortable with?
Right.
Because a lot of times what's happening is these sites, Zillow, Trulia, they're great for certain things, looking at pictures and whatnot, but they do not give, in my opinion, a very accurate monthly payment estimate. And I think it's a little bit misleading, actually, in a lot of cases. So sometimes
because they don't factor in taxes and insurance, and they don't estimate them well, and then it could be some low 2-0 rate.
Right, and it just doesn't give a true representation. So when somebody says, they're looking for X amount per month, that's where they feel comfortable, but they're looking for this, way out of the box price range to say, okay, well, let's have a conversation about that. I mean, you could qualify for this, but I don't want to put you in something that's in over your head. So
not only that, can you find it? Is what you're
right,
looking for available in that specific neighborhood? Should you maybe expand your horizons? We see this like with South Tampa a lot. You'll say, hey, I want to be in this school district, or Seminole Heights. They want to be Seminole Heights and not Tampa Heights. Or they want to be original Carrollwood, not Lake Magdalene, or not, old Carrollwood. You get over to the beaches and you have the same thing. I mean, you have people that want some specific niche. And if you're struggling to find it, you got to rethink the neighborhood a little bit. Maybe expand your horizon and say, you know what, and I think unless you have an unlimited budget, and if you're listening to me at 10, 12 on Sunday morning and you have an unlimited budget, please do call me because we would love to help you if you really do have an unlimited budget. But unless you have an unlimited budget, you're going to have to make some concessions. You're going to have some give and take on what you get, what you can afford, where you can afford it, what features you can have. And right now, with the inventory being relatively light, it's starting to pick up a little bit. The inventory is starting to pick up a little bit. But with it being really light, you've got to be selective, but at the same time also be open to some tweaks to that. Maybe if you really like Fishhawk Trails, maybe you consider Fishhawk Ranch. If you like Mira Bay, maybe you look to another neighborhood in Apollo Beach. There's so many different neighborhoods out there, and people will get honed in on the one, and you may not find what you want there, or you may not be able to get what you want for the price that you're able to comfortably pay.
Right, and I actually wanted to make a quick point. I was listening to David Graham's show right before us, the retirement show, and we've talked about this before, and I just wanted to clarify for any of those listeners that are still listening. I didn't get a chance to catch him before I got to the show to talk to him, but I will next week. He very, very smart guy, knows the stuff with retirement, but he actually said on the show today that you can't get a loan under 700 credit score, which, we've
not true.
Yeah, we've been over many times.
We can definitely get you loans under 700 credit score. Lots of people can get loans under 700 credit score. Now, so if we're talking about a jumbo product, which could be a lot of his audience, I mean, he could certainly have a lot of his people who are retirees that are buying more expensive homes, and jumbo loans get a little bit harder for lower credit scores. But if you're buying an average priced home in a $300,000 price range, you can definitely get a loan with an under 700 credit score.
Yeah, you can do it in the even with 0% down in the 3s and the 400s. You can get a loan at 680 credit score.
Yeah.
I mean, at 580 credit score, you can get a loan with 3.5% down. So there's a lot of options. So if we're talking about his market with the luxury market, if you even have a 700 score and you don't even have a large down payment, up to $850,000, you can put 5% down.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of options out there, and definitely reach out to us.
So another thing on the 5 ways to troubleshoot your home search: be open to some light cosmetic work. Obviously everyone wants a turnkey house. But not everyone can get one. So if you're looking at homes and maybe you're not finding the right turnkey one, and you find one that maybe needs $5,000 and some work, be open to doing a little bit of work and some sweat equity in the home. Open home search up. Another one, having a heart to heart. Sitting down and either talking to your spouse, talking to your agent, talking to your family about your wants and needs when it comes to your real requirements. The give and take conversation. I've had it with my wife. I wanted a 14-car garage. I had to settle. I couldn't get a 14-car garage. I had to settle for a 3-car garage. So have that conversation and that realistic understanding of what you can and can't do.
Well, and I think unless you're going to build the house, unless you buy a vacant lot and you're going to build a house on it, you're really never ever going to find a house that has
perfect.
every single.
And even if you build, you're probably going to have, when you start looking at the numbers and start figuring out what things cost and start figuring out what some of those upgrades cost. We all know builders make money on the upgrades. I mean, they don't make a ton of money building the house. They make a ton of money when you say, yeah, I want this color granite, and yeah, I want this kitchen upgrade, and yeah, I'd really like, these beautiful terrazzo floors. And so when you start adding in those upgrades, that's where you get into the financial buying too, even on the building side. But you can get everything you want. And obviously, the only person that can get everything they want, they build it themselves, and they have an unlimited budget. So unless you're Derek Jeter, you're probably going to have some limitations on that. Looking for a little extra cash, I think, is a good one. Let's say you're a little short on being able to buy what you want, getting gift money, using down payment assistance, lower down payment mortgages. Obviously, David, you can talk about how to save money on the mortgage front, but sometimes it's that last little bit of extra money you need for the down payment or the reserves that are preventing you from getting the home that you want or the price range that you want. So you can look for a little extra cash. You can pick up a second job. There's a lot of different ways you can come up with a little extra money to maybe bump you to another price range to be able to either qualify or afford it. And there's a lot of different options for some of that extra down payment money. I think that's something that we talked about many times.
Yeah,
gift funds,
We can have that conversation. Definitely, there are ways to be creative and find just a little bit extra there if that's going to be something you're comfortable with.
Then the last step, renting for another year. I'm just going to nix that one off. Say that's stupid. Don't do that. Now, in reality, it is the right call for a lot of people. Whether it's you feel pressured and you can't find the right opportunity or the time's not right. Or if you feel the ongoing pressure and it's overwhelming you, then maybe you're just not there yet, and you need another year, and you're in a rental to save up a little bit more money, establish a little bit better credit score. The downside of the waiting game, and this is there's good to the renting for a year. The bad is interest rates rise or prices rise, and it gets the amount of money that you save, if it's not keeping up with that increase, then it really isn't doing you any good to wait. So unless you expect a huge surplus of money or a huge raise in that year, you may not save money at a quick enough pace to outpace the increase in price and down payment that's required as interest rates rise and prices rise.
Which is most likely going to happen over the next few years.
Correct. I think we all expect that, although we did say that a couple years ago. Still haven't gotten there. So like if you watched our show a couple years ago and you heard us talk about how interest rates were definitely going to rise, we were wrong. So was everybody else.
We do have an event coming up early November that may impact interest rates.
Just a little bit.
A little tiny event.
It's funny, I heard David this morning talking about the election. I'm like, I'm going to steer completely clear of talking. We talked about the election, only from a standpoint of not necessarily a candidate either way, but just the overall impact on real estate and the economy of an election and the emotional disconnect that it causes. And the people that are fearful of taking action because they step away from the game because they're overwhelmed with the concern over what will happen, whether you're pro-Trump or pro-Hillary. And it's funny that you see that, but the reality is buying a home is very, very emotional. The logic, though, is that whoever's elected is going to have a very small, negligible, short-term impact on real estate. It's not as if real estate prices are it's not stock market. It's not everything's going to rise or drop in a day. It takes years for the real estate market to move. So anyway, we're going to continue this conversation with Shawn Yesner from Yesner Law and Florida Suncoast Title, as well as David Diaz from Waterstone Mortgage after a quick break here on the Duncan Duo Show on 970 WFLA.